None of my family showed up at my wedding, not my parents, not even my best friend. They all chose my sister's engagement party instead. But right as we cut the cake, my phone lit up with a text from Mom. "We need to talk. Now." Then came 36 missed calls. There I was, in my white dress, hand in hand with Jason, cutting into our wedding cake. The room was bursting with laughter and applause, but a cold, hollow feeling had settled deep in my chest. Not a single member of my own family stood among the guests, only friends and my wonderful new in-laws. As we pressed the knife into the frosting, my phone lit up. A message from my mom: "We need to talk now." Below it, 36 missed calls. My stomach dropped with a mix of fear and a desperate, gnawing curiosity. To understand why my own family was missing from my wedding, I need to take you back, way back to the beginning. I grew up in a seemingly normal suburban household in Ohio. My parents, Daniel and Evelyn, and my younger sister, Harper. From the outside, we looked like the picture-perfect American family, matching Christmas sweaters, annual beach vacations. But behind closed doors, I always felt like the emotional orphan of the family. Harper was 3 years younger, but she might as well have been wearing a crown from the day she was born. With her natural blonde curls, dimpled smile, and this magnetic, outgoing personality, she was the sunshine child everyone adored. She danced ballet, played violin, and just had this charm that drew people to her. I was never jealous of her talents or her beauty. What truly hurt was how starkly differently my parents treated us. "Mom, I got accepted into the advanced science program," I announced one evening during my sophomore year of high school, clutching the congratulatory letter. My mom barely glanced up from helping Harper with her dance costume. "That's nice, honey. Put the letter on the counter so Dad can see it later." That was it. But when Harper won 3rd place in a local dance competition that same week, our parents took us all out for a celebratory dinner. They ordered champagne for themselves and made a toast to our little star. I sat quietly, pushing food around my plate, wondering why my achievement warranted nothing more than a passing acknowledgement. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was the pattern of my entire childhood. I excelled in mathematics and science, earning scholarships and academic awards, but my achievements were always overshadowed by whatever Harper was doing. My parents actually missed my high school graduation ceremony because Harper had a recital the same day. You understand, right? "This is really important for her future," Mom explained when I expressed my disappointment. And I did understand, but that didn't make it hurt any less. By the time I entered college, I had accepted my place in the family hierarchy. I stopped calling home as frequently, knowing conversations would inevitably shift to Harper's latest accomplishments. I built my own life, made friends who valued me, and focused on my education and my future career in biomedical engineering. My senior year of college, when I graduated with highest honors, my parents promised they would attend. I reserved 4 seats in the auditorium. 2 for them, 1 for Harper, and 1 for my best friend, Naomi. The morning of graduation, I received a text from my mother. Harper got a call back for a major audition. "We need to drive her to New York." "So proud of you, though. Take pictures." Only Naomi's seat was filled that day. Naomi became the family I chose. We met freshman year and clicked immediately. She was studying psychology, so insightful and empathetic in ways my family never was. After graduation, we both found jobs in Boston and shared an apartment for 3 years. She witnessed my struggles with my family dynamics firsthand, holding me through tears after particularly difficult holiday visits or unanswered phone calls on my birthday. Then, when I was 26, I met Jason Bryant at a mutual friend's birthday party. He was tall, with kind brown eyes and a laugh that made everyone around him smile. On our 3rd date, I found myself telling him about my family situation, bracing myself for the usual sympathetic but uncomfortable response I typically received. Instead, Jason reached across the table and took my hand. "That's not normal or okay, Sophia. You deserve better from the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally." No one had ever validated my feelings so directly. For years, I had wondered if I was just being overly sensitive or selfish for wanting more attention. Jason helped me see that my pain was legitimate, and the dynamics in my family were genuinely unhealthy. As our relationship grew serious, Jason encouraged me to set boundaries. You can't change them, he would say, but you can change how you respond to them. He suggested therapy, which I eventually did. Dr. Winters helped me understand emotional neglect and how it had shaped my self-worth and relationships. I started practicing what Dr. Winters called radical acceptance of my family's limitations. I lowered my expectations to match reality, rather than continuing to hope for the parental love and recognition I had craved my entire life. It was painful, yes, but it was also incredibly liberating. I stopped trying to earn their approval and focused instead on building a life that made me happy. Jason became my rock, my champion, and my safe harbor. His family welcomed me warmly from the first time we visited them in Connecticut. His mother, Linda, called me regularly just to chat. His father, Robert, sent me articles about scientific breakthroughs he thought might interest me. His sister, Olivia, became the sibling relationship I had always wished for with Harper. You're part of our family now, Linda told me during my second visit. And in this family, we celebrate everyone's victories, big and small. I cried in the guest bathroom that night, overwhelmed by the simple kindness that felt so foreign to me. Jason found me there and just held me, without a word, understanding exactly what those tears meant. With therapy, Jason's support, and my own determination, I made a promise to myself. I would stop measuring my worth by my family's inability to see it. I would create happiness on my own terms. And most importantly, I would break this cycle if I ever had children of my own. Little did I know how severely my resolve would be tested when Jason and I decided to get married. Jason proposed on our 2-year anniversary at the small independent movie theater where we had our first date. The film suddenly paused, and a custom-made trailer began playing, featuring photos and videos of our relationship set to our favorite song. When the lights came up, Jason was on one knee in front of me, holding a simple but elegant diamond ring. Sophia Jenkins, you are the strongest, kindest, most brilliant woman I have ever known. Will you marry me? Through tears and laughter, I said yes as the entire theater erupted in applause. It was perfect, thoughtful, and so completely Jason. That night, as we celebrated with champagne in our apartment, the anxiety began creeping in. I needed to tell my family. They'll be happy for you, Jason assured me, though the slight hesitation in his voice betrayed his own uncertainty. I called my parents the next day, my stomach in knots as the phone rang. My mother answered on the 4th ring. Hi, Mom. I have some news. Jason proposed last night, and I said yes. We're engaged. The pause lasted just a beat too long before she responded. Oh, that's good. Congratulations. No excitement, no questions about the proposal or the ring, no offer to celebrate. We were thinking about a spring wedding, maybe in 6 months or so, I continued, desperately trying to generate some enthusiasm. That's quite soon. Well, let us know the details when you have them. Another pause. Harper just got the lead in a local theater production, by the way. We're so thrilled for her. And, just like that, my engagement was overshadowed once again. Despite the lukewarm response, Jason and I proceeded with our wedding plans. We decided on a small ceremony at a charming historic venue in Cambridge with about 60 guests. I wanted something intimate and meaningful, not extravagant. We selected flowers, chose a caterer, and found a photographer whose portfolio captured exactly the kind of candid, joyful moments we wanted to remember. Each decision we made felt right, like we were creating something that truly represented us as a couple. For months before the wedding, we sent out invitations, including ones to my parents, Harper, and a few extended family members. Weeks passed with no RSVP from my family. I finally called my mother, trying to keep the anxiety from my voice. Did you receive the invitation, Mom? The venue needs a final headcount soon. Yes, we got it. Your father and I have been meaning to call you about that. We'll try to make it, of course, but you know how busy things get. It's my wedding day, I said, my voice strained. I would really like you all to be there. Of course, honey, we'll do our best. Each subsequent conversation followed the same pattern. They would promise to attend, but find excuses not to help with any preparations or participate in pre-wedding activities. When I asked if my father would like to do the traditional father-to-daughter dance, he mumbled something about needing to check his schedule. Through it all, Naomi was my saving grace. She took on the role of maid of honor with an enthusiasm and dedication that made up for my family's indifference. She organized a beautiful bridal shower, helped me shop for my dress, and listened patiently through my tearful venting sessions. "They'll come around," she assured me. "And if they don't, I'll be standing right beside you the entire day." You are not alone, Sophia. Jason's family, too, stepped up in extraordinary ways. His mother offered to help with the seating arrangements and favors. His father insisted on contributing to the costs. Olivia threw me a separate bridal shower with Jason's extended family, making me feel truly welcomed into their clan. During this time, my relationship with my own family grew increasingly strained. My calls home were met with distracted conversations and quick excuses to hang up. Harper rarely answered my texts, claiming she was super busy with additions and stuff. I tried to tell myself it was normal pre-wedding stress making me oversensitive, but deep down, I knew something was off. Still, I held on to hope. Despite years of disappointment, some childish part of me believed that my wedding day would be different. Surely, this once, they would show up for me, both physically and emotionally. This milestone would finally be important enough to warrant their full attention and support. With Naomi by my side and Jason's unwavering support, I pushed forward, determined to create a beautiful day regardless of my family's involvement. I chose to focus on the people who were showing up for me. "Your wedding will be perfect because it's about you and Jason," Naomi reminded me. "Everything else is just details." I clung to those words like a lifeline as the day approached, never imagining just how dramatically my family would prove me wrong. 2 weeks before my wedding, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break when my thumb froze over a photo that made my heart stop. It was Harper, beaming at the camera, her left hand prominently displayed to showcase a sizable diamond ring. The caption read, "He asked, I said yes. #future Mrs. Williams." I stared at the screen, unable to process what I was seeing. Harper was engaged to Patrick Williams, the guy she had been dating for barely 6 months, and no one had bothered to tell me. The comment section was filled with congratulations, including several from my parents. My mother had written, "So happy for my beautiful baby girl. Can't wait to celebrate this weekend." My hands shaking, I called my mother immediately. She answered on the second ring, sounding cheerful until she realized it was me. "Sophia, is everything okay? I'm a bit busy right now." "Harper is engaged?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. A pause. "Oh, you saw the post." "Yes, Patrick proposed last weekend. It was so romantic. He took her to that vineyard upstate." "And why did nobody tell me?" I interrupted. "Well, honey, you've been so busy with your own wedding plans. We didn't want to bother you." Something in her tone didn't ring true. I pressed further. "Mom, what is this about celebrating this weekend? My wedding is in 2 weeks." Another longer pause. "Harper is having a small engagement party on Saturday. Just family and close friends." This Saturday, my stomach dropped. "But that's my wedding day." "Is it? Oh dear, I thought your wedding was the following weekend." Her voice sounded falsely confused. "Harper has had this date planned for her party for a while now. How could she have planned it weeks ago when she just got engaged last weekend?" I asked, logic cutting through my shock. "Well, they've known they were getting engaged. They just made it official recently," my mother hedged. Then her voice took on an irritatingly reasonable tone. "Honey, would it be possible for you and Jason to reschedule? We've already put down deposits for Harper's party, and everyone has made arrangements." The request was so outrageous, so hurtful, that for a moment I couldn't speak. Reschedule my entire wedding, with all the vendors booked and guests invited, because my sister decided to have her engagement party the same day? "No, Mom, we cannot reschedule our wedding. We have 60 people coming. Contracts signed, everything arranged." "Well," she sighed, as if I were being the unreasonable one. "I suppose we'll have to figure something out. But you know how important this is for Harper. She's been dreaming of this engagement for months. And I've been planning my wedding for 6 months. I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. You all RSVP'd, yes. Dad is supposed to walk me down the aisle. We'll try to make it to part of your ceremony, she offered, as if suggesting a compromise. Maybe we can split our time between both events. I ended the call shortly after, too stunned and hurt to continue. Immediately, I called Naomi, who expressed appropriate outrage on my behalf. That is insane, she declared. They cannot expect you to share your wedding day, or worse, reschedule it for an engagement party. An engagement party? Not even her actual wedding. What should I do? I asked, fighting back tears at my desk. Nothing. You do absolutely nothing except have your beautiful wedding as planned. If they choose Harper's party over your wedding, that's on them, not you. And I promise you, Sophia, I will be right there with you the entire day. You will not be alone. Jason was equally supportive when I told him. That evening, though, I could see the anger flash in his eyes before he controlled it for my sake. Your family is making a choice, he said gently. And it's a poor one that reflects on them, not on you. Our wedding will be wonderful because we'll be surrounded by people who truly love and support us. But what if none of my family comes? I asked, voicing my deepest fear. Then we'll still get married, still celebrate, and still begin our life together, he said firmly. My family will be there, our friends will be there, and most importantly, we will be there, promising to be each other's family for the rest of our lives. I tried to take comfort in his words, but the pain of potential abandonment by my entire family on what should be one of the happiest days of my life was overwhelming. That night, I sobbed in Jason's arms until I had no tears left, mourning not just their likely absence at my wedding, but the family relationship I had always longed for and never had. The next day, I texted Harper directly. Congratulations on your engagement. I wish you had told me personally. Is there any way you could reschedule your party? I would love for you to be at my wedding. Her response came hours later. Thanks. Sorry. Everything is already set for the party. Maybe you could come for a little bit after your reception? It's going to be epic. The casual disregard, the complete lack of recognition that I could hardly attend her engagement party during my own wedding reception was the final straw. I didn't respond. Over the next few days, I received a few more texts from my mother, each making it increasingly clear that they had chosen Harper's celebration over my wedding. The last one read, "We will try to stop by your ceremony if we can get away from setup for Harper's party. Hope you understand. Family comes first. Family comes first." The irony of that statement was not lost on me. In their minds, Harper was family. I apparently was not. The day before my wedding arrived with a flurry of last-minute details and the wedding rehearsal scheduled for 5 o'clock in the evening. I hadn't heard from my family in 3 days, despite leaving several voicemails asking if they would at least attend the rehearsal and dinner. The historic venue looked beautiful as Jason and I arrived early to meet with the coordinator. The late afternoon sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the polished wooden floors and the simple floral arrangements we had chosen. It should have been a perfectly exciting moment. "Your family hasn't arrived yet," the coordinator asked as the scheduled start time approached. "They might be running late," I said, the lie tasting bitter on my tongue. Jason squeezed my hand as we watched his family arrive one by one, all smiling and excited. His mother hugged me tightly. His father clapped Jason on the back with pride, and Olivia immediately began taking photos to document every moment. At 5:30, with still no sign of my family, we decided to begin the rehearsal without them. The officiant, a friend from college, guided us through the ceremony with warmth and humor. Jason's 12-year-old cousin practiced his role as ring bearer with exaggerated seriousness that made everyone laugh. Everything was lovely, except for the glaring absence on my side of the aisle. As we were finishing up, my phone vibrated with a text message. I pulled it out, hoping against hope that it was my family saying they were on their way. Instead, it was my mother, busy preparing for Harper's party tomorrow. "Good luck with the rehearsal. Love you." I shoved the phone back into my pocket, determined not to let anyone see how much that casual dismissal hurt. But Jason knew me too well. "They're not coming, are they?" he asked quietly as we walked to the restaurant for the rehearsal dinner. No, I replied, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. They're busy preparing for Harper's party. His jaw tightened, but he simply nodded and said, their loss. The rehearsal dinner was at an Italian restaurant a few blocks from the venue. Jason's parents had reserved a private room decorated with white roses and candles. Place cards marked each seat at the long table, including spots for my absent family members. I made it through the appetizers before excusing myself to the restroom, where I leaned against the sink and took deep breaths to push back the tears threatening to spill over. This was supposed to be a happy time, and I refused to let my family's choices ruin it completely. When I returned, I found Linda had removed the empty place cards from my family and rearranged the seating to close the gaps. She gave me a small smile and a wink, and I felt a rush of gratitude for her thoughtfulness. The dinner proceeded with toasts and stories and laughter. If anyone noticed my occasional forced smile or distant gaze, they kindly didn't mention it. Naomi sat beside me, her presence a constant comfort as she effortlessly charmed Jason's relatives and kept conversations flowing whenever I fell quiet. Tomorrow will be perfect, she assured me as we prepared to leave. I'll be at your hotel at 9 o'clock in the morning with coffee and breakfast. We'll get your hair and makeup done, get you into that gorgeous dress, and make you the most beautiful bride Boston has ever seen. I hugged her tightly. I don't know what I would do without you. You'll never have to find out, she promised. Back at the hotel, Jason kissed me goodnight before heading to stay with his best man, following the tradition of not seeing each other before the wedding. This time tomorrow, we'll be husband and wife, he said. Nothing else matters. Alone in my hotel room, I allowed myself one last attempt at reaching out to my family. I called my father's number, heart pounding as it rang. Hello, he sounded distracted. Dad, it's Sophia. I just wanted to check if you're still planning to come tomorrow to walk me down the aisle. A long pause. Sophia, I'm sorry. Your mother needs me to help with Harper's party. There's so much to do, and you know how important this is to your sister. More important than your oldest daughter's wedding? I asked, my voice breaking despite my best efforts. That's not fair. We didn't realize the dates would conflict. There is no conflict, Dad. You chose. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. I'm sorry you feel that way, he said stiffly. I hope you have a nice wedding. The call ended, and I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. No more tears came. I felt hollow, empty, as if something had finally broken inside me that could never be repaired. My phone chimed with a text from Naomi. Just checking in. How are you feeling, bride-to-be? I managed to respond. I'm okay. Looking forward to seeing you in the morning. Her reply came quickly, about that. I'm so sorry, but something urgent has come up. Family emergency. I might be a little late, but I'll definitely be there before the ceremony. Don't worry. A small flicker of unease stirred in my stomach. Naomi had never been vague about anything before. Everything okay? Anything I can help with? I texted back. All good. Just need to handle this. Get some sleep. Big day tomorrow. Something about her response felt off, but I was too emotionally drained to analyze it further. I scrolled mindlessly through social media to distract myself, only to freeze when a new post from Harper appeared in my feed. It was a selfie of her trying on what looked like a party dress, with a caption, "Final fitting for tomorrow's big day. Can't wait to celebrate with everyone who matters." The location tag caught my eye, Bellamy's Boutique, the same upscale shop where Naomi had mentioned she needed to run an errand earlier that week. With a growing sense of dread, I tapped on the photo to see who had liked it. And there among the names was Naomi's. And worse, a comment from her, posted just 30 minutes ago. You look stunning. Can't wait for tomorrow. My hands shaking, I switched to Naomi's profile and found a story she had posted. Then quickly deleted, but not before Instagram had placed the posted 1 hour ago marker on her profile. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. My best friend, my maid of honor, the one person who had promised to stand by me no matter what, was planning to attend Harper's engagement party instead of my wedding. I called her immediately. The call went straight to voicemail. I texted, I saw Harper's post and your comment. Are you going to her party instead of my wedding? Minutes passed with no response. Then finally, 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. And then, "I'm so sorry, Sophia. Harper reached out and said how much it would mean to her if I could come. I thought maybe I could do both, but the timing won't work. I should have told you directly. I feel terrible." The betrayal was complete. I turned off my phone, unable to bear any more communication. Curling up on the hotel bed, still fully dressed, I let the tears come, ugly, wrenching sobs that left me gasping for breath. Everyone who was supposed to love me had chosen Harper again. Even on my wedding day. I must have cried myself to sleep because the next thing I knew, my phone was ringing and sunlight was streaming through the hotel curtains I had forgotten to close. Groggily, I answered without checking who was calling. "Sophia, it's Allison. I'm in the lobby with coffee and bagels. Can I come up?" Allison Turner had been my roommate junior year of college. We had stayed in touch sporadically, and I had invited her to the wedding more out of nostalgia than close friendship. I had not expected her to show up at my hotel room the morning of my wedding. Sure, I said, my voice hoarse from crying. "Room 312. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Allison standing there with a cardboard tray holding 2 coffee cups and a bag from a local bakery. "Hey, bride," she said cheerfully, then stopped when she saw my face. "Whoa, are you okay?" The simple question broke the fragile composure I had managed to gather. To my horror, I burst into tears again, right there in the doorway. Allison didn't hesitate. She set the coffee and food on the nearest surface and pulled me into a hug. Hey, it's okay. Whatever it is, we'll fix it." Between sobs, I told her everything. My family choosing Harper's engagement party. Naomi's betrayal. How I was now without family or a maid of honor on my wedding day. When I finished, Allison pulled back and looked me directly in the eyes. "Okay, first of all, your family and Naomi are garbage people right now. Second, I am here and I am not going anywhere. If you will have me, I would be honored to step in as your maid of honor today." "You would do that?" I asked, stunned by her offer. "Absolutely. What are friends for?" "Now, drink this coffee while I call the hair and makeup people to confirm they're still coming here at 9, and then we are going to make sure you have the most beautiful, meaningful wedding day possible, regardless of who is or is not there." In that moment, with Allison taking charge and showing me more loyalty than people I had counted as much closer friends, I felt a small spark of hope return. Maybe this day could still be salvaged after all. "Thank you," I said simply, taking the coffee she offered. "No thanks needed. Now, let's get you ready to marry the love of your life." The morning of my wedding day passed in a blur of activity. The hairstylist and makeup artist arrived at 9 sharp, transforming my tear-swollen face into something radiant. Allison proved to be an exceptional stand-in maid of honor, anticipating needs I didn't even know I had, making me laugh with college stories I'd forgotten, and keeping me distracted from thoughts of my absent family. By the time I stepped into my wedding dress, a simple but elegant A-line with delicate lace detailing, I almost felt like the bride I had imagined being. Almost, but not quite. The hollow feeling returned as I realized there would be no mother to help with my veil, no father waiting to walk me down the aisle. "You look absolutely beautiful," Allison said, helping me with the final touches. "Jason is going to be speechless." I managed a small smile, studying my reflection. "I just wish, I know," she said gently. "But today is still your day. Focus on Jason. On the life you are building together. That's what matters most." A knock at the door interrupted us. When Allison opened it, Robert, Jason's father, stood there in his tuxedo, looking slightly nervous. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said, his kind eyes finding mine. "Jason mentioned that your father, well, that he might not be here today. I wanted to offer my services if you would like someone to walk you down the aisle. No pressure at all, just an option." The unexpected kindness brought fresh tears to my eyes. "I would be honored, Robert." "Thank you." He nodded, clearly emotional himself. "The honor is all mine, Sophia. You have made our son happier than we have ever seen him. You are already part of our family. Today just makes it official." As we arrived at the venue, my phone remained silent. No messages from my parents, Harper, or Naomi. I had known not to expect them, but the confirmation of their absence still stung. I took a deep breath and handed my phone to Allison. Hold this for me. I don't want any distractions during the ceremony. Absolutely. And I turned the ringer off just in case. The wedding coordinator guided us to the small room where I would wait until the ceremony began. Through the window, I could see guests arriving, filling the seats on both sides of the aisle, despite knowing most would remain empty on my side. 5 minutes, the coordinator announced, and suddenly the reality of what was about to happen hit me. I was getting married. Without my family. The mixture of joy and sadness was disorienting. Ready? Robert asked, offering his arm as the music began. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. Walking down the aisle was surreal. I registered the smiling faces turning to watch me, heard the soft gasps and murmurs of appreciation. But everything seemed slightly out of focus until my eyes found Jason, waiting at the altar. His face, when he saw me, was everything I could have hoped for, a mixture of awe, love, and absolute certainty. I was vaguely aware of the empty front row on my side, the seats reserved for family that would remain unoccupied throughout the ceremony. But as Robert placed my hand in Jason's, the pain of those absences receded, replaced by the warmth of Jason's touch and the love shining in his eyes. You look incredible, he whispered as we turned to face the officiant. The ceremony itself was brief but meaningful. We had written our own vows, and Jason's brought tears to my eyes and laughter from our guests. Sophia, he began, I promise to be your partner and equal in all things. I promise to celebrate your victories as if they were my own. To stand beside you through whatever challenges we face, and to create a home where you always know your worth is never in question. You're the strongest person I know, and I am in awe of your resilience and grace. Today, I am not just gaining a wife, but creating a family with you. One where love is never conditional and support is never withheld. I love you, all of you, exactly as you are. The reception was held in the same venue, in a beautifully decorated hall with twinkling lights and centerpieces of lilies and hydrangeas. Despite the notable absences, the room felt full of love and joy. Jason's extended family and our friends filled the space with laughter and conversation. If anyone noticed or pitied the bride with no family present, they were kind enough not to show it. We had our first dance to Etta James's at last, swaying gently in the center of the dance floor as our guests watched. When the song ended, Jason's father stepped forward to dance with me for the father-daughter dance, a gesture that brought fresh tears to my eyes. Thank you, I whispered as we moved across the floor. For everything today. You are family now, he replied simply. That is what family does. The evening progressed with toasts, dinner, and more dancing. I found myself genuinely enjoying the celebration, despite the ache that lingered beneath my smile. Jason rarely left my side, as if sensing when my thoughts drifted to those who had chosen not to be there. Finally, it was time to cut the cake. A 3-tier creation decorated with fresh flowers that matched our centerpieces. Jason and I stood behind it, smiling for the photographer as we positioned the knife together. Ready? He asked. I nodded, and we pressed the knife into the bottom tier, everyone applauding as we made the first cut. It was at that precise moment that I felt my phone vibrate in the hidden pocket of my dress. I had retrieved it from Allison during the cocktail hour, not wanting to be completely disconnected in case of an emergency. As Jason began cutting slices for our guests, I discreetly checked the screen. A message from my mother, we need to talk now. Below it, I saw notifications for 36 missed calls, all from my mother, father, and even Harper, all within the last hour. My stomach dropped. What could possibly have happened that would prompt such an urgent barrage of communication after they had all but abandoned me today? Everything okay? Jason asked, noticing my expression. I showed him the screen. I don't know what to make of this. Whatever it is can wait, he said firmly. This is our wedding day. They made their choice earlier. Part of me agreed with him, wanted to silence my phone and continue celebrating without giving my family another thought. But another part, the part that had always hoped for reconciliation, for understanding, for the family relationship I had never truly had, made me hesitate. What if something is really wrong? I asked. Jason studied my face, then sighed. If you want to call them back, I understand. But remember, you don't owe them your time today. This day is ours. I squeezed his hand gratefully. I'll step outside for just a minute. If it's nothing important, I'll come right back. Finding a quiet corner in the venue's garden, I dialed my mother's number. She answered on the first ring, her voice tearful and frantic. Sophia, oh, thank God. We've been trying to reach you for hours. I was getting married, Mom, I said, unable to keep the edge from my voice. What is so urgent? What she said next would change everything I thought I knew about this day, about my relationship with my family, and about the sister I had always believed simply outshone me in our parents' eyes. It's Harper, my mother said, her voice breaking. Patrick called off the engagement right in the middle of the party. He said he couldn't go through with it because Harper told him what she did to you. I sank onto a nearby bench, trying to process her words. What do you mean? What did she do to me? My mother's breathing was uneven, punctuated by sniffles. Harper lied to us, Sophia, about everything. She deliberately scheduled her engagement party on your wedding day. She told us that you had changed your wedding date and didn't bother to tell us because you didn't want us there. The world seemed to tilt beneath me. What? She showed us texts from you saying you wanted nothing to do with us. That you were having a private ceremony with just Jason's family because they were your real family now. She said you specifically asked us not to come. My hand trembled as I gripped the phone tighter. Mom, I never sent any texts like that. I have been calling and messaging for weeks, begging you all to come. I know that now, she admitted, her voice small. Patrick confronted Harper today after she made a comment about finally being the center of attention for once. When he pushed her on it, she broke down and admitted everything. She created fake text conversations, deleted your real messages from our phones, intercepted the physical invitation you sent. I struggled to breathe, the magnitude of Harper's deception overwhelming me. But why would you believe I wouldn't want you at my wedding? After all the times I called, all the voicemails I left. She had an answer for everything. My father's voice cut in, and I realized I was on speakerphone. She said you were just keeping up appearances, that you had told her the truth about how you really felt. We should have questioned it more. Should have called you directly instead of just through Harper. But she was so convincing, Sophia. She even cried about how hurt she was that you didn't want your own family at your wedding. The pieces were falling into place. But one question remained. What about Naomi? Why did she choose Harper's party over my wedding? Another pause. This one heavy with shame. Harper told Naomi that you had asked someone else to be your maid of honor. She showed Naomi fake texts from you saying you had only asked her originally out of obligation, but had found someone you connected with better. Harper convinced her that coming to the engagement party would be better than facing humiliation at your wedding. I closed my eyes, recalling Naomi's sudden change of plans, her vague excuses. It all made sense now in the most twisted way possible. Where is Harper now? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. She left after Patrick broke things off. We don't know where she went. My mother's voice cracked again. Sophia, we are so sorry. We failed you completely. I don't expect you to forgive us, but we needed you to know the truth. I need to process this, I said, my mind reeling. I'm in the middle of my wedding reception right now. Of course, my father said quickly. We couldn't wait another moment to tell you the truth. Is there any chance we could see you tonight or tomorrow, whenever you have time? The request was so surreal after everything that had happened. My wedding day, which I had imagined since childhood would include my family, was almost over. They had missed the ceremony, the vows, the first dance, everything that couldn't be recreated. I'll text you the address of our hotel, I said finally. We'll be back there around 11 tonight. You can meet us in the lobby. After ending the call, I sat motionless, trying to comprehend the magnitude of Harper's betrayal and my parents' gullibility. How could Harper have orchestrated something so elaborate, so cruel? And how could my parents have believed her so easily without ever speaking directly to me? Sophia? Jason's voice broke through my thoughts. He stood a few feet away, concern etched across his features. You've been out here for almost 15 minutes. Is everything okay? I looked up at him, my husband of just a few hours, and felt a rush of gratitude for his steady presence in my life. No, I answered honestly. Nothing is okay. But I think maybe it will be eventually. I told him everything, watching his expression shift from shock to anger to disbelief as the full story unfolded. That is, he struggled to find words. I don't even know what to say. Harper deliberately sabotaged our wedding day. She manipulated everyone. That goes beyond sibling rivalry or jealousy. That is calculated cruelty. I told them we would meet them at the hotel after the reception, I said. I need to hear them say all this to my face. I need to understand how they could believe I would exclude them from my wedding. Jason took my hands in his. Are you sure you want to do this tonight? We can wait until after our honeymoon if you need time. I shook my head. No, I need closure before we leave. I cannot carry this with me for 2 weeks. Then we will face them together, he said firmly. Whatever you decide after hearing them out, I will support you completely. We returned to the reception where our guests had hardly noticed our brief absence amid the dancing and celebrating. For the remainder of the evening, I went through the motions, smiling and thanking people for coming, dancing with Jason and his relatives, all while my mind kept returning to the revelation that had turned my understanding of my family upside down. At 10:45, we made our exit amid a shower of rose petals, changed quickly at the hotel, and went down to the lobby to wait for my family. My stomach was in knots, my thoughts a chaotic jumble of questions and accusations. They arrived at 11:15. My parents looking haggard and red-eyed. My mother rushed toward me as soon as she saw me, arms outstretched, but stopped short when I instinctively stepped back. Let's go somewhere more private, Jason suggested, gesturing toward a small meeting room off the lobby that the hotel had left unlocked. Once inside, with the door closed, the four of us stood in awkward silence until my father spoke. Sophia, we don't expect forgiveness. What we did, believing Harper over you, missing your wedding, it is unforgivable. But we need you to know how deeply, profoundly sorry we are. Sorry does not change the fact that you missed my wedding, I said, my voice tight. Or that you believed I would exclude my own family without even picking up the phone to ask me directly. You are right, my mother whispered, tears streaming down her face. There is nothing we can say to justify our actions. We failed you as parents, not just today, but for years. Why was it so easy for you to believe I wouldn't want you there? I asked, the question that had been burning inside me since the phone call. What kind of relationship did you think we had that would make that believable? My parents exchanged a pained look before my father answered. The truth is, we knew we hadn't been good parents to you, Sophia. We knew we had favored Harper, made excuses for missing your important moments, failed to celebrate your achievements the way we should have. When Harper told us you didn't want us at your wedding, part of us believed it because we felt we deserved that rejection. So you just accepted it without fighting for a relationship with me? Without even trying to make amends? We were cowards, my mother admitted. It was easier to believe Harper's lie than to face the truth of how we had failed you. And she is our daughter, too, so we never imagined she would lie about something so important. Where is Harper now? I asked. Why isn't she here apologizing herself? We don't know, my father said. She left after Patrick confronted her. She's not answering our calls either. I shook my head, overwhelmed by the whole situation. I don't understand how she could do this. We've had our issues, but this level of deception, of cruelty, I think she has always been jealous of you, my mother said quietly. Your intelligence, your independence, the genuine relationships you build. We spoiled her, made her the center of attention. But I think deep down she wanted what comes naturally to you, real connections, real accomplishments. Jason, who had been silent until now, spoke up. That might explain her feelings, but it doesn't excuse her actions. What she did was deliberate and destructive. You're right, my father agreed. There is no excuse. And we enabled her behavior for years by always giving in to her demands and tantrums. I looked at my parents, really looked at them, maybe for the first time in my adult life. They seemed smaller somehow, diminished by their guilt and shame. Despite everything, a part of me ached for the family we could have been, should have been. I cannot forgive you tonight, I said finally. I don't know if I can ever fully forgive missing my wedding, but I am willing to try to build something new going forward if you are truly committed to change. They both nodded eagerly, tears flowing freely now. That means acknowledging the patterns that got us here, I continued. It means therapy, both individually and as a family. It means real accountability, not just for today, but for years of emotional neglect. Anything, my mother said immediately. We will do anything. And Harper needs professional help, too, I added. What she did goes beyond normal sibling rivalry. We know, my father agreed. When we find her, getting her help will be our priority. We talked for another hour, a painful but necessary conversation that began the process of exposing the dysfunctional patterns that had defined our family dynamics for decades. No magical reconciliation occurred that night. No tearful group hug that erased years of hurt. But something shifted, a door opened that had long been closed. As Jason and I finally headed up to our room, emotionally drained but strangely at peace, he squeezed my hand. Are you okay? I considered the question carefully. Not yet, I answered, but I think I will be. 6 months passed since our wedding day. Jason and I settled into married life in our apartment, learning the rhythms of being partners in all things. Our honeymoon in Greece had been beautiful, a much-needed escape from the family drama that had overshadowed our wedding. For 2 weeks, we explored ancient ruins, swam in crystal-clear waters, and began healing from the events surrounding our marriage. Upon our return, the real work began. True to their word, my parents had started therapy, both individually and together. They suggested family therapy with me, which I agreed to after some hesitation. Every Thursday evening, we met with Dr. Patterson, a family therapist specializing in adult family dynamics and estrangement. Healing is not linear, Dr. Patterson reminded us during one particularly difficult session. There will be progress and setbacks. The important thing is commitment to the process. Harper had resurfaced 3 days after the wedding, calling my parents from a hotel room where she had been hiding, ashamed and afraid to face the consequences of her actions. They convinced her to come home and immediately found her a therapist of her own. It took 2 months before I agreed to see her. We met at a neutral location, a quiet cafe, halfway between our homes. She looked different. Smaller somehow, without the confidence and charm that had always seemed to radiate from her. I don't know where to begin, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Sorry seems so inadequate for what I did. Why? I asked simply. It was the question that had haunted me since that night. Why would you go to such lengths to ruin my wedding day? Harper stared into her untouched coffee for a long moment before answering. I've been seeing a therapist and we've been talking a lot about this, about why I did what I did. She took a deep breath. The simple answer is jealousy, but it's more complicated than that. She explained how she had grown up feeling like she had to be perfect, had to perform to keep our parents' attention and approval. They praised me publicly, but privately they always compared me to you. Why can't you be more focused like Sophia? Why can't you find a nice, stable career like your sister? I listened, surprised by this revelation. I always thought they favored you completely. They did in many ways, but their favor came with conditions. I had to be their perfect, charming daughter. You got to be authentic. You built a real life with real friends and real accomplishments. I just performed. That still doesn't explain why you would sabotage my wedding. Tears filled her eyes. When you got engaged to Jason, I saw how happy you were, how complete your life seemed. Patrick had just proposed, but it felt hollow, like another performance. I wanted what you had, and when I couldn't have it, I wanted to destroy it. It was petty and cruel and unforgivable. Yes, it was, I agreed, not willing to minimize the harm she had caused. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she said quickly. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did, and I am getting help to make sure I never do anything like that again. That first conversation was awkward and painful, but it was a beginning. In the months that followed, Harper continued therapy, eventually moving out of our parents' house and starting a job as an administrative assistant, her first real employment that wasn't in entertainment or performance. My relationship with my parents slowly evolved. They made genuine efforts to know me as I am now, not as the child they had neglected. My mother called regularly, not to talk about Harper, but to ask about my work, my interests, my life with Jason. My father sent articles related to my field and asked thoughtful questions about my career. For the first time in my life, I felt seen by my family. Not completely, not perfectly, but genuinely. The wall of resentment I had built over decades began to develop small cracks, letting in slivers of possibility. Naomi and I had a much more difficult path to reconciliation. When she discovered the truth about Harper's manipulation, she was devastated. She sent flowers, cards, emails, desperate to explain and apologize. I ignored them all for weeks, the betrayal still too fresh and painful. Eventually, I agreed to a phone call. "I should have called you directly," she said, her voice thick with regret. "I should have known you would never just replace me without talking to me first. We've been friends for too long for that." "Yes, you should have," I agreed. "That's what hurts the most. You believed the worst about me without even asking me if it was true." "I have no excuse," she admitted. "I can only say that I am sorry, and I will spend as long as it takes trying to rebuild your trust if you will let me." Rebuilding trust is harder than building it the first time. With Naomi, the process was slow and sometimes painful. We started with occasional texts, then coffee once a month, gradually working our way back to something resembling friendship, though the easy closeness we once shared remained elusive. Allison, surprisingly, became a close friend after her 11th-hour rescue of my wedding day. We met regularly for lunch, and she became part of our extended social circle, often joining Jason and me for dinner or movie nights. On our first anniversary, Jason and I decided to have a small dinner party at our apartment. Nothing elaborate, just a simple celebration with a few close friends and family. My parents came, bringing a photo album they had created full of pictures from my childhood and accomplishments they had previously overlooked. Harper came too, bringing a thoughtful gift and a quiet presence, still working on finding her authentic self. During dinner, Jason clinked his glass to make an announcement. He looked at me, eyes twinkling with excitement, and I nodded, giving him permission to share our news. "We wanted to wait until today to tell everyone," he said, reaching for my hand. "Sophia and I are expecting. The baby is due in June." The table erupted in genuine joy and congratulations. My mother cried happy tears. My father beamed with pride, and Harper hugged me gently, whispering, "You're going to be an amazing mother," in my ear. Later that night, after everyone had left and Jason and I were cleaning up, he asked, "Are you happy with how things are now with your family?" I considered the question carefully. "I am at peace with it," I answered honestly. "It's not perfect, and there are still moments when the old hurt resurfaces, but we are building something new, something healthier. That's enough for now." And with the baby coming, I placed a hand on my still flat stomach. I want our child to know their grandparents and aunt, but with healthy boundaries. I want to break the cycle of favoritism and emotional neglect. Our child will never wonder if they are loved or if they're enough. The journey from that wedding day to now had been challenging, filled with difficult conversations and painful realizations. But it had also been illuminating. I learned that families are not static entities, but dynamic relationships that can evolve and heal with genuine effort and accountability. I learned that sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves is setting clear boundaries, demanding the respect we deserve, and being willing to walk away from relationships that consistently diminish us, even when those relationships are with family. Most importantly, I learned that forgiveness is not a single act, but a process. One that happens in its own time and cannot be forced or rushed. True forgiveness comes not from forgetting the hurt, but from understanding it, processing it, and choosing to move forward with new awareness and stronger boundaries. As I look toward the future, now preparing to create a family of my own with Jason, I carry these lessons with me. I am no longer the daughter desperately seeking approval and acknowledgement from parents who could not provide it. I am a woman who knows her worth, who has built a life filled with genuine love and respect, and who chooses each day to nurture relationships that nurture me in return. Sometimes the heart must break completely before it can heal into something stronger. My heart broke that day when I stood alone at my wedding. But from that breaking came a strength and clarity I might never have found otherwise. For that, despite everything, I am grateful. Healing isn't about erasing the scars. It's about wearing them with the knowledge that you survived something difficult and emerged stronger.